Good evening. This is CTV News for Wednesday, March 2nd. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Well, as the Supreme Court hears arguments on one of the most important abortion cases in 2 decades, supporters and opponents flood the steps outside. Protesters are not only voicing their sides of the issue, they're keeping a close eye on how the justices will rule. Currently, there are only 8 on the bench in the wake of Justice Antonin Scalia's death last month. Our Denise Douglas has the details.
You can't even really begin to count the number of people out here, but clearly you can see that there are hundreds of people packed in front of the Supreme Court and even more across the street voicing their opinions about the Texas abortion law that the justices are taking up. At issue are 2 provisions in the law, one that requires abortion clinics to have hospital-like facilities. The other requires doctors who provide the procedure to have admitting privileges to local hospitals. Abortion rights supporters say that the law is too strict. Basically, people on both sides of the issue out here making their voices heard.
Well, I think it's a sham. Basically what it is, it's putting unnecessary requirements on abortion facilities. And it's had an effect. Last week, Louisiana closed down almost all of its clinics. So poor women in particular who can't take a day off of work or travel long distances are not going to be able to have an abortion. And they're going to be forced to raise children that they can't afford and can't support.
I think that's not really based in logic. They say that they're for safe, affordable health care, but if they're not willing to uphold these laws, then they're not for safe, affordable health care. As a side effect, many abortion clinics who don't want to, for financial reasons or whatever reasons, who don't want to uphold to these standards are going to close. But it's not because we're trying to shut them down. It's because they won't uphold to the safety standards.
As you may know, this is the first major vote taking place here at the Supreme Court since Justice Scalia's death. Only 8 justices are on the bench, so all eyes are on Justice Kennedy and how his vote will affect this issue. I'm Denise Douglas, downtown, CTV News.
And Justice Kennedy is expected to be the swing vote in this case. If he sides with the court's conservatives and the liberal bloc stays together, there would be a 4-4 split. The other scenario would have him siding with the liberals, which means the ruling would be 5-3, striking down the law.
And Congressman Chris Von Hollen is expressing support for a bill that would eliminate gaps in contraception coverage in insurance plans here in Maryland. Van Hollen testifying at a hearing before the Finance Committee this afternoon. The Affordable Care Act guarantees coverage for birth control, but supporters of Senate Bill 848 say some enrollees could be left without access to the method that works best for them. Van Hollen says the legislation would close those gaps.
I'm really pleased that at a time when many of the Tea Party folks in Congress are trying to turn back the clock on the Affordable Care Act, Maryland's actually trying to expand access to women's health choices. And this provides women and families with affordable contraception so that they can better plan their families.
The bill also has the support of the Maryland Department of Health and Mental Hygiene.
Well, Super Tuesday was certainly super for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Clinton won in 7 states, including Virginia. Bernie Sanders took Vermont along with 3 other states. To get the Democratic nomination, candidates need 2,383 delegates. So far, Clinton has 979 and Sanders has 382. On the Republican side, 1,237 are needed to get the presidential nomination. Right now, Donald Trump is leading with 319 delegates, followed by Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio. And just a reminder, Maryland voters will head to the polls on April 26th.
And we are learning more details in the Deontay Carraway case tonight. A new lawsuit alleging that 4th grade teacher Gwendolyn McNair allegedly ignored the child's report of abuse by Carraway at Judge Sylvania Woods Elementary. Now, Carraway is accused of producing child pornography on school property at 3 other locations. The 22-year-old former teacher's aide is now facing 13 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor involving 11 victims between the ages of 9 and 12. And you're watching CTV News. I'm Byron Scott.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. When we